For today's video, video 75, I'd like to talk about the reasons why I'm a libertarian. Ideally, the main reason why I'm a libertarian is just because it is, of the political philosophies that I am aware of and know of, it's definitely the most free. I mean, granted, anarchism would be complete freedom, but we're not quite there yet. And a lot of people, when they talk about anarchy, they always bring up things like, well, how would this work? How would that work? I don't have all the answers for that right now. I mean, you can find them. You can come up with them on your own if you just, give it a little thought and meditate on it or think on it or try to create something. May work, may not work. I don't know. The only way we'd ever get there is if the collective, decided that's the way it's going to be, whether it's in a nation or a state or a city or some other little subset of a community or something. But no, I'm a libertarian because I cherish freedom. Now, as a libertarian, for those of you who know or for those of you who don't know, they do, they're not completely free of rules. There still are rules. And the main rule is the non-aggression principle, which just makes so much sense to me. I don't understand why there's so many people out there that seem baffled by this concept, even though it's been around, at least in Western Civ and before, for thousands of years. I mean, it's basically the golden rule, do unto others. And essentially, though, what it really breaks down to is the non-aggression principle means you respect other people's property, so you don't steal, and you don't initiate force against anyone, except for, if you're defending yourself in self-defense. That's okay. So, pretty simple, right? That's the only main rule. Don't steal, don't hurt people, and respect their private property, which ties in with the stealing thing. Simple. And that's the two. I mean, if you look at it from a Christian perspective or whatever, a lot of libertarians, they're a wide gambit. A lot of them are atheists too, which is fine, which is cool, whatever floats their boat. But it's basically the two big commandments: don't steal and don't kill. So yeah, that sounds right to me. So I'm cool with those rules, as a libertarian. I say, okay, let's use that as a groundwork, as a foundation for establishing a code of conduct. And that's it. And it's pretty clear cut. So, and then as you get deeper into it, I believe in the free market, and I think that people should be free to work their profession, do what they need to do, either develop things or work for someone else who's developing things, and it shouldn't be interfered with by a government, and it also shouldn't be bolstered by a government. So that way, that's where a lot of gray areas show up, is when people blame corporations for things. And granted, there can be bad corporations, but a lot of times the bad corporations are only that way because they have the backing of the government helping them and give them an advantage over the others, and then they sort of become one entity. I mean, we can talk about, I suppose, just basically, fascism is when the corporations run the government. Communism is the opposite. Whatever, it's all tyranny is what it is. I mean, either way, it stinks. It's not a world that I prefer to live in. I prefer to live in a more libertarian world. And one of the other core beliefs, besides the non-aggression principle, is that we as humans, or as adults, we own our own bodies. So therefore, we should be free to do, say, think anything we want to say, so long as it doesn't violate the non-aggression principle. I look at it as we have our rights are to do whatever we want to our own bodies, to go wherever we want, so long as it doesn't invade someone else's private property, and to think whatever we want and to say whatever we want. And that causes hiccups in people that either aren't libertarians or don't buy into the philosophy, because then they'll bring in things like entitlements. And they'll bring in things like being offended. And okay, that's all legit and that's real. But I have written before in my blog on www.eswainbooks.com that I really believe that adults shouldn't allow offenses to control their actions. I mean, if you're offended by words or beliefs, I believe, I mean, we've all do it, and you can bounce back and forth, but I believe that if you're offended by words or beliefs, basically you're not an adult, you're a child. I am an adult. Someone else can come and say that I'm the dumbest person ever, or everything I believe in is trash, or that I, am just a fool. Whatever. Hey, that's their soul, that's their mind, that's their body, that's their whatever. They can say whatever they want to say. I'm not offended. They can say, oh, or they can attack my gender or my ethnicity, or I don't care, and I have a hard time understanding how people can get so offended so easily. I mean, if there is actually something going on where the non-aggression principle is being violated, where a group is stealing, like, just outright, from a certain subsect of people or something, or they're hurting them physically. Okay, yeah, then you've broken what I think are basically the only two real crimes, either theft or harm. So I don't really get the whole being offended thing. I mean, I understand it. I know what the word means, and I know what people are talking about when they say that. But my response is, if someone says they're offended, my response is, so what? What do I care? So you're offended. That's your problem. You deal with it. You look inside, and you flesh it out. If it's an actual problem that you can change on your own, then do it. Otherwise, chances are, if it's just words or if it's an opinion, you counter that with your words and your opinion. You use your brain, you use your logic, and you'll feel good about it. And maybe you'll change the other person's mind. Maybe you won't. Who cares? I'm a libertarian. This is my life. I've been on the planet now 39 years. Hey, I'm going to live to be 100. I've decided. So I've got another 61 years on this rock to just hang out and, have fun and learn and see and do and talk and watch kids grow up and all the good stuff that makes life great. It's my life. You have yours. Everybody has theirs. The other one that a lot of times people that bash libertarians is because they seem to be against entitlements. Well, there's a reason for that, because the initiation of force, which it violates the non-aggression principle, and you force people through entitlements. Now, how that works is, basically, let's first say the only thing I believe that anyone's entitled to is the air we breathe, because it's plentiful and it's everywhere, and the right to walk and go wherever you want, as long as it doesn't invade someone's private property. I think you should just be free to go wherever you want, as long as you're not causing any trouble. You're just there, do your thing, and breathe the air. Water's not a right. Well, it could be if you found it yourself, if you had your own little water hole and you did the work and you had it all yourself. Otherwise, you have to pay for it because it's necessary for labor from others to get it to your mouth. Food's not a right. As much as, I've never want anyone to starve or die of thirst, but they're not rights. Anything that requires the labor of someone else can't be a right for the other people. Healthcare is not a right because it requires the work of others. I think everyone should have, affordable care. Of course, who wouldn't want that? I mean, I'm a humanitarian too. I love people and I want everyone to be happy, and that's why I'm a libertarian, because I think that the best road to happiness is to be free, to believe in yourself, to understand that other people are free, that believe in themselves, and they're, ascending in their lives and trying to live. So entitlements, I just don't. They just don't make sense, because it basically comes down to forcing people to supply the entitled with whatever they have. And secondly, I mean, that's almost like it's not slavery, but it's servitude. Where they're not necessarily, now if it's a job that they're doing, then that's fine, but the people still have to pay for it. So that's not entitlements. So usually those are the two arguments that really come up at the core against libertarianism. They say people that are worried about entitlements and people that are worried about being offended. I mean, there's a lot of specifics that come up, especially the deeper you go into libertarianism and the closer you get to anarchism. People bring up things like roads and and you know, everything's got an answer. It just would require, you know, a little different perspective, a little different way of thinking. But you know, I mean, this video could go on for years, discussing everything and going over everything. But at the core, I am a libertarian because I believe in freedom, and I believe in respecting other people as human beings, and as their right to life and liberty. And basically, I just see that as the main avenue for living a happy life. Now, of course, people could be happy, you know, if they were just given everything, but that's not who I am. I mean, I'd rather feel, you know, I'm not overly proud, but I am willing to work for what I have. And even if I wasn't, if we had an entire generation that was nothing but 100% entitlements, well, what's going to happen when eventually they're the ones that would be called on to do the work for the next generation of it? Just wouldn't work. Eventually there'd be nothing done, and people would starve, or you know, the whole system's going to fall apart. You can't sustain that forever. And in the current system that we have right now, it's not the worst. I like the United States. I think it's a great country, but it does seem to be a lot of people that are getting a lot of things for free, and you know, again, it's just my opinion, but why? I don't think that's right to force, through the threat of either being put in jail or killed or whatever by a government, making you work to supply other people. Charity is a whole nother ballgame because that's voluntary. Voluntarism is that's close with libertarianism, or some people say it's the same thing. Just depends on your own definition of it. That's great, and charity is the way it should be. I mean, everyone should control their resources, the fruits of their labor, their own energy. Money, I believe, is just a numeric representation of energy. You have that, you harnessed it, and you get to decide where it goes, because that's your right, your life, your property. And yeah, I mean, gosh, there's more questions than I can even think of right now when it comes to any, you know, discussion on any political or philosophical belief. And that's really the fun of it all. I think it's great talking about it. I love discussing it with people. If they get offended, again, that's their problem. I don't ever go out. I don't aim to ever offend anybody. I just simply say what I think, and I think what I say makes sense. So, and I'm generally a pretty upbeat person, so I don't know if I've ever actually offended anybody, but I probably have. Maybe I have with this video. Let me know below. Yeah, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Again, this is just a simple, rudimentary breaking the ice on why I'm a libertarian. And hopefully it makes sense. If not, let's elaborate further. And like or subscribe or leave a comment or visit my website, www.swainbooks.com, and let me know what you think. And have a super duper day.